Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I'm, of course, Gregor Guy.
My name is Casey.
And for your viewing educational purposes, we will be presenting this next episode of BangHead STEM. We are on STEM.
Right, STEM.
It's all blurring together in my head. Okay, so I'll go ahead and toss it over to you. What are we going to learn about here this week?
Today we're going to be talking about fungus.
Fungus.
Right.
Like toe fungus?
Is that the first thing you think of when you think of fungus?
Or mushrooms?
Do you have like a negative or a positive outlook on fungus in general?
I don't know enough, so I refrain from having an opinion.
The first thing you thought of was toe fungus. So that would be.
I was like, wait, hold on, I like eating mushrooms.
Okay. So it's a mixed bag. Yeah. Fungus is a mixed bag. You got the negative types of fungus. You got like the black molds that you can get in your bathroom. By the way, if you have black mold, you need to get that fixed because you're going to be very ill and possibly die. You got like the foot fungus that you got to go get Tinactin or something for.
Tough actin Tinactin.
Yeah, that could be a sponsor.
Reach out, Tinactin.
All right. But we're gonna talk a little bit about fungus, and we're gonna get into the biggest positives of fungus here to try to change some people's minds about fungus being a negative thing. So, first of all, what's the difference between fungus and a plant? Because until pretty much recently, maybe like the last 50 to 100 years, they've basically been I know that's a long spread of time. I don't have an exact date on it. But plants and fungus used to be basically categorized in the same exact phyla.
Really?
Right.
So, and what was the time frame on that?
I don't. Somewhere between the last 50 and 100 years.
Last 50 and 100 years. So, over the last century, we have realized that fungus is not a plant.
Correct. And the difference between fungus...
The science community is lacking.
The difference between fungus and a plant is that plants use carbon dioxide, sunlight, and water to create their own food through photosynthesis. Fungus, on the other hand, is incapable of making their own food. They usually eat off their host as parasites or decomposed matter and use it as food. That is not 100% correct, though, because almost every single plant form on the world cannot exist without some type of fungus. They have, I can't remember what the exact word is. It's like myocetin, I think it is, or something like that. Basically, they attach one plant to another plant and to other ingredients in the ground. So it absorbs ingredients from one plant, another plant, and the ground, and it interconnects them all. And it will process, it will move potassium. Maybe one plant needs potassium to survive, so it transfers potassium to that plant, and then it also can transfer another ingredient, nitrogen, to a different plant. So basically, it kind of works as like roads.
Superhighway for nutrients.
Superhighway for nutrients between one plant and another plant.
There you go.
And neither of those plants could exist without that fungus.
So fungus is basically essential for plant life.
Correct.
That is a fact that I was unaware of.
Right. So that is probably the number one positive. I would say. But we can talk about other ones. So together with bacteria, fungus is responsible for breaking down organic matter and releasing carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus into the soil and the atmosphere. So it can transfer all those ingredients to different places, and it releases it into the soil, and it releases it into the atmosphere. They're also essential for many household and industrial processes, notably in the making of bread, wine, beer, and certain cheeses.
Bread.
I don't know the process of making bread. I don't know how exactly it works. But fungus is a yeast. Yeast is a fungus.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I assume hops is also like a form of yeast, I believe, correct. Which I guess is a form of a fungus.
Right. And you can eat mushrooms. You got morels, truffles,
Magic.
You have your magic mushrooms. Oh, that the highways, basically the roots that I was talking about, is called mycelia. I had it wrong.
Mycelia.
Right.
Okay.
And it is, the mushrooms are high in protein, just as in meats. So people that don't eat a lot of meats can eat mushrooms to supplement their diet.
Was not aware of that fact either. You wouldn't think a mushroom would be high in protein.
Right.
You wouldn't think, but
I mean, I'm sure it's high in all different kinds of things. I know it's antioxidant, which is basically an anti-aging type food. One of the top 4 scientific discoveries, I think it was some science website said it was one of their top 4, and it could be even higher than that, is when Alexander Fleming in 1928 noticed that green mold called Penicillium notatum was growing in a culture of Streptococcus, which I believe is like a strep throat. So basically, he invented penicillin, which is basically the first medically used antibiotic. Yes. So without fungus,
the first line of defense against STDs.
Right. Without fungus, you could not have antibiotics, or would not have antibiotics, and there would be a much higher death rate among people all over the world.
Okay, that's fair.
Another one we have is, so this is not quite as significant as penicillin, but there's ergo, which is a fungus that grows on crops and grasses, especially rye. There was a big thing back years ago where ergo was ending up on wheats, and it was killing a lot of crops, and they didn't know how to stop it. They eventually did stop. They actually eventually did stop it. There was a slight famine that occurred because of it, but they have found uses for ergo.
Do we have a time frame on that? A year?
I don't know the year.
No.
On that. Okay. So basically, ergo is a source of a lot of chemicals used in drugs. There are drugs that are used to induce labor. They control hemorrhaging after birth. They also have a source of lysergic acid, which in a psychedelic drug.
Well, that would be lysergic acid, not talking.
Right, is LSD. So without ergo, you wouldn't have LSD. There's all kinds of different fungus that have chemicals that are extracted for medical uses. They are used to produce statins, which control cholesterol and ward off coronary heart disease. So, do you have a different viewpoint on fungus now?
I still feel like I just don't know enough about the entire subject, to. I mean, obviously
we got antibiotics.
Yes, I mean, I obviously, like, I love eating mushrooms, with meals and everything, right. And I do enjoy eating mushrooms for social occasions, we'll say.
All right, let's do a quick rundown. You got antibiotics. You got cholesterol medicines.
It has been a while since I needed a penicillin shot.
You got coronary heart disease. You got the fact that without fungus, most of the plants on the planet would not be able to survive.
That I think, to me, was the big one that I just didn't even realize. Quite honestly, I was like, damn, man, wow. It's funny how the ecosystems and everything need to work together in order to thrive.
Right.
We'll say.
And another thing is, not only do antibiotics work on us, it also works on those plants, because if it's killing different bacteria that can grow and destroy a tree or a tomato plant or a potato or something like that, and the myceliums connected and all that through through a fungus, and it is keeping bacteria away from these plants or giving it the ability to fight.
All right. Here's my revised opinion.
Okay.
Fungus is a good thing.
Right.
Until you get the mold.
Until you get the mold. Well, I guess what? Penicillin is a mold.
Till you get the black mold.
Okay, till you get the black mold. Okay. All right, that's all I got.
All right. Well, I mean, I appreciate you putting that together. I mean, I actually learned a lot on that one. It wasn't one of those topics that I'm well particularly versed in.
Well, when I went to when I was going to school at the community college down the street here, and we were doing biology. For some reason or other, I was always attracted to fungus and the studies of funguses. They're just extremely alien to me, and I think that's why I kind of liked it. And the fact that it interconnects everything through its highway of mycelia is also very interesting to me.
There you go, fungus among us. So cheesy. But anyway, once again, thank you for putting that together. That will be the next episode of BangHead STEM.
All right.
I'd just like to say real quick, thank you for everyone out there watching. While we have been doing this upgrade process, we will say.
Yeah, so, I've been barely watching it because it looks so bad.
Hopefully we got that fixed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm of course Greg, your guy.
My name's Casey.
And everyone out there watching, we hope you learned something.